Some houses don't want new owners, they want bloodlines. And mine just came due. My name is Caleb Mercer. I'm 29 years old, and until 3 months ago, my biggest problem was deciding whether to spend my last $20 on cheap whiskey or ramen in my roach-infested apartment above a failing bar on East 6th Street in Austin, Texas. Then the letter arrived. It came in a thick cream envelope with a wax seal that looked older than the state itself. No return address, just my name written in perfect copperplate handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of heavy paper and a brass key that felt ice cold even in the Texas heat. The letter was short. Mr. Caleb Mercer, you are the sole surviving heir of the late Elias Mercer. You have inherited Mercer House, located at 1847 Blackthorn Road outside Fredericksburg, Texas. The property is valued at approximately $4.8 million. There is only one condition. You must reside in the house alone for 1 full calendar year. No electricity, no modern technology of any kind, no visitors for longer than 24 hours. Should you fail to complete the term, the estate reverts to the Mercer Family Trust and will be destroyed. You have 30 days to decide. Sincerely, the executors of the Mercer estate. I laughed when I first read it. Sounded like a prank, or the setup for one of those internet horror stories I used to fall asleep to. But the next day, a black town car pulled up outside the bar. A lawyer in an expensive suit handed me more documents, photos of the house, and a cashier's check for $10,000 for immediate relocation expenses. That night, I stared at the key for 6 hours straight. I had nothing to lose. No family, no savings, no future. Just debt, hangovers, and the growing feeling that my life was already a haunted house I couldn't escape. So I said yes. The drive from Austin to the Texas Hill Country took 3 hours. The GPS died the moment I turned onto Blackthorn Road. The asphalt gave way to gravel, then to dirt. Towering live oaks closed in overhead like they were trying to block out the sun. Mercer House appeared suddenly at the end of the long driveway, as if the trees had been hiding it on purpose. It was enormous. A 3-story Victorian Gothic nightmare painted in faded charcoal and deep blood red trim. Turrets, widow's walks, stained glass windows that looked black even in daylight. Ivy choked the walls so thickly it looked like the house was growing its own skin. The front porch sagged under the weight of decades. A rusted iron fence surrounded the property, the gate already open like it had been waiting for me. I killed the engine of my beat-up Honda and sat there listening to the ticking of hot metal. The silence was wrong. No birds, no wind, just the house breathing. I grabbed my single duffel bag of allowed belongings, clothes, toiletries, a few books, one wind-up lantern, and a stack of notebooks and pens. Paper was permitted, technology was not. They even made me surrender my phone at the county clerk's office before signing the final papers. As I stepped onto the porch, the front door creaked open by itself. I froze. The key in my pocket suddenly felt burning hot. I laughed nervously. Old houses settle, I told myself. Wood expands and contracts, that's all. But when I stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind me with a sound like a coffin lid. The first week was almost peaceful. I explored every room by daylight. There were 27 rooms in total. Parlor, library, ballroom, servants' quarters, a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a museum. Every surface was covered in a fine layer of dust that smelled faintly of lilacs and something metallic underneath. The furniture was all original. Heavy, dark wood, velvet upholstery, brass fixtures. Portraits of my ancestors lined the hallways. Elias Mercer, my great-great-uncle, stared down from the largest canvas in the grand foyer. He had my eyes, cold gray, like winter rain. I chose the smallest bedroom on the 2nd floor away from the master suite that felt too much like a tomb. I swept the floors, aired out the linens, and tried to make it feel lived in. At night, I lit the oil lamps and wrote in my journal by flickering light. It felt strangely good. No notifications, no doom scrolling, just the scratch of pen on paper and the creak of old wood. On the 8th night, the first strange thing happened. I woke at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of footsteps on the stairs. Slow, deliberate, heavy boots on wood. They climbed all the way to the 2nd floor, paused outside my door for a long moment, then continued up to the 3rd floor. I lay there paralyzed, heart hammering. The house was empty when I went to sleep. I had checked every lock. When morning came, I searched the entire 3rd floor. Nothing. No footprints in the dust, no disturbed furniture. But in the attic, I found an old Victoria phonograph. Next to it was a single black wax cylinder labeled in faded ink, "Caleb, do not play until you are ready to listen." My blood ran cold. The handwriting was identical to the letter that started all of this. I didn't play it. Not yet. By the end of the 1st month, the house began to show me its teeth. The mirrors started lying. I would catch my reflection moving half a second after I did, or smiling when I wasn't. One night, I saw a second figure standing behind me in the bathroom mirror, tall, thin, wearing an old-fashioned black suit. When I spun around, the room was empty. The clocks all ran backwards. Every grandfather clock, every mantelpiece timepiece showed a different, impossible hour. They never chimed the same time twice. And the whispers began. They came from the walls, soft, intimate, like someone speaking directly into my ear when no one was there. "Caleb, you look so much like him. You belong here. Stay." I started sleeping with the oil lamp burning low. I kept the brass key under my pillow like a talisman, though I no longer knew if it locked danger out or in. One rainy afternoon in week 7, I finally broke and played the wax cylinder. The needle dropped. Scratchy, distorted sound filled the attic. It was Elias Mercer's voice. "If you are hearing this, Caleb, then you are the last. The clause has been activated. We tried to end the bloodline many times. We failed. This house does not want money. It does not want land. It wants continuity. It wants a Mercer to suffer in these walls until the next Mercer is born, or until the line finally dies screaming. There is only one way to break the clause. You must find the heart of the house, and you must burn it while it still beats. Do not trust the others. They lie. They always lie." The recording ended with a wet, gurgling laugh that didn't sound human. The others started appearing after that. I first saw the woman in the red dress in the ballroom at midnight. She danced alone, spinning slowly to music only she could hear. When she turned toward me, her face was a porcelain mask cracked down the middle. Behind the cracks, my mother's eyes stared out. My mother, who had died when I was 7. She whispered, "Come dance with me, baby, like we used to." I ran. The next night, it was the little boy on the widow's walk. He stood at the railing, looking down at the driveway where I had parked my car months ago. When he turned, his neck was bent at a horrible angle. "Uncle Caleb," he said in a voice like dry leaves, "why didn't you save us?" I stopped going upstairs after dark. But the house wouldn't let me leave during the day either. Every time I tried to walk down the driveway towards the main road, the trees seemed to shift. My legs grew heavier. By the time I reached what should have been the gate, I'd find myself back on the porch, the front door standing open like a hungry mouth. I was trapped. Month 5 brought the worst of it. The house began to feed. I would wake up with bruises shaped like fingerprints around my wrists and throat. Small cuts appeared on my arms in perfect straight lines, like someone had been marking days. My journal entries started changing when I wasn't looking. I would write, "I think I'm losing my mind." And the next morning, I'd find underneath it, in different handwriting, "No, you're finally finding it." I started seeing the other Mercers, all of them. Great-grandfathers who had hanged themselves in the attic, aunts who had drowned in the clawfoot tub on the 2nd floor,
cousins who had walked into the woods behind the house and never returned. They didn't attack me. They watched. They waited. They whispered advice. Find the heart. Burn it. Or join us. Elias appeared most often. He sat in the leather chair in the library every evening at 8 p.m. sharp, smoking a pipe that produced no smoke. His gray eyes followed me wherever I moved in the room. One night, I finally asked him, voice shaking, "What is the heart of the house?" He smiled with too many teeth. "It's been beating inside you since the day you crossed the threshold, boy. The house doesn't want your body. It wants your children. It wants the next Mercer to be born between these walls so the curse can continue. If you die here without producing an heir, the house dies with you. But it will make you suffer for decades."
This happened in a remote stretch of North Carolina's mountains, those rolling ridges that look so peaceful from the interstate but feel ancient and watchful once you're deep inside. The kind of place where old mining scars and forgotten homesteads hide under new growth, and the air always carries a little extra weight. The second story comes from a different part of the same range, over in eastern Tennessee. A surveyor named Marcus took a short-term rental for a contract job, assessing old properties for potential redevelopment. The house was nothing special on paper, a modest two-story place perched on a gentle slope above a narrow valley. Clean, well-kept, recently updated. Not some crumbling ruin, not isolated to the point of paranoia, just a practical mountain home with good bones and a view that felt nostalgic. Marcus had grown up in similar country further north. He liked the quiet, liked the way the hills folded around you like they were holding old secrets gently. But from the first few days, small things felt off. Sound behaved strangely indoors. Footsteps didn't echo properly. They landed flat, absorbed. The hum of the fridge sounded distant even when he stood right beside it. When he played music or talked to himself, a habit from years of solo fieldwork, his own voice came back to him muted, like it belonged to someone else or had traveled through water. Time slipped. He'd sit down to eat after a long day and suddenly notice the plate was cold, the light outside gone, hours vanished without the usual gradual fade. Clocks in different rooms disagreed by minutes, then more. He stopped trusting them and relied on his body instead. Big mistake. Then came the smell, not rot or damp, dry, mineral, like old stone dusted after centuries sealed away. It didn't come from any one spot. It was just in the air, clinging to everything. Opening windows didn't help. It made his hands feel gritty even after washing. The sense of presence grew, not being watched exactly, but sharing the space with something vast and indifferent. Like the house itself had layers, and he was moving through them at the wrong angle. Rooms felt rearranged around an invisible absence. He'd get sudden static shocks of goosebumps, hairs rising on his arms and neck as if the air pressure had shifted. His notes started changing. Not destroyed, not rewritten dramatically, just subtly altered. Precise measurements rounded off, urgent observations softened into neutral comments, warnings about unstable structures turned into mild suggestions. The worst part, he remembered writing some of those changed sections, but when he tried to recall the moment, the memory felt borrowed, thin like a story someone else had told him. He considered mold, carbon monoxide, some local plant toxin messing with his head. He even tested the air and water as best he could with what he had. Nothing showed up. The job kept him there. He pushed through, growing more disoriented. The final night, he was sitting in the living room on the floor reviewing maps when the stillness hit. Complete. His own breathing sounded intrusive, like an unwelcome guest. In that quiet, he understood with cold clarity that the house wasn't empty, but it also wasn't occupied in any normal way. It felt held, like the valley held fog, or the mountains held time. Not hostile, just patient, immensely patient,
as if he were early or late or simply irrelevant to whatever rhythm played out there. That broke him. He packed in a haze and left before dawn. Outside, the air smelled clean. The mountains looked ordinary again. But driving away, he couldn't pinpoint the exact moment he'd decided to go, only that staying had become impossible. He still works the region occasionally. Locals talk about that valley in passing, houses where nothing bad ever happens exactly, but where nobody stays long. Their stories trail off, not in terror, but in a kind of confused shrug, as if the place gently resists being remembered too sharply. Two stories, one about a thing that bleeds black and returns with the snow, one about a place that quietly unravels time and memory, both happening in the same ancient mountains that have watched people come and go for centuries, both without tidy endings or clear monsters to point at. What ties them together is that creeping doubt, the way the impossible can slide into ordinary life without fanfare, wearing the face of routine until one day you realize the rules changed and no one told you. Have you ever felt the mountains press in like that? Heard something that didn't belong, or lost time in a place that felt too still? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. If you've got a similar experience from the Appalachians or anywhere else, share it. These stories thrive when we tell them together. If this one got under your skin, like and subscribe for more. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next descent into the unknown. Thanks for watching, friends. Stay safe out there, especially when the snow starts falling and the nights grow long. Until next time, this is Eerie Narratives. Keep your lights on, just in case.
Eerie Narratives. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, its hands racing toward 11 p.m. In her small bedroom in rural Ohio, 19-year-old Emily kept glancing at it, her heart heavy with worry. The whole family was falling apart, and not a single neighbor had come by to check on them. She had really believed he was serious about her. Then something fluttered through the open window and landed on the wooden floor with a soft thud. A folded piece of paper. He sent me a love letter, she thought, a tiny spark of hope cutting through the dread. She picked it up, unfolded it carefully, and froze. Inside lay a single red rose, but beside it was a fresh lemon and a small box of vermilion powder, the kind Indian brides use for their parting in their hair. What the hell? This wasn't romantic. It was wrong, creepy. She stared at the strange bundle, anger rising in her chest. It has to be from that idiot Jake, always pulling stupid pranks. She wrapped the paper back up and tucked it under her pillow. Tomorrow I'll shove this back in his face. Exhausted, Emily closed her eyes and let sleep pull her under. About an hour later, she felt something cold and wet slither across her bare ankle. Her eyes snapped open. A monstrous figure was squatting on the floor right beside her bed. It had no hair. Two large, twisted horns curled from its bald skull. Its skin was leathery, cracked, and the color of old ash. Yellow eyes with vertical slits stared at her without blinking. Emily screamed and scrambled backward, but the creature only tilted its head as if amused. 2 months earlier, in the quiet farming town of Black Hollow, Indiana, Mohit, everyone just called him Mike, worked long hours at the auto repair shop on the edge of town. He was the eldest son, carrying the weight of the family after his father's health had started failing. A freezing February evening, as he drove home on the lonely county road, he spotted a girl struggling in the brush beside an old abandoned barn. She was gathering sticks, her thin jacket doing nothing against the biting wind. Tears streaked her face. He pulled over. "Hey, you okay? It's dangerous out here this late." She wiped her eyes. "My mom, she's really sick. If I don't get a fire going tonight, I don't know if she'll make it till morning." Something in her voice made Mike's chest tighten. He parked the truck and helped her gather more wood. Together, they carried the bundles to a rundown little shack near the old creek. Inside, an elderly woman lay shivering under thin blankets. Mike quickly built a fire in the rusty wood stove. The warmth spread, and the old woman's pained face softened. "Thank you, son. God bless you." The girl's name was Sugna, though she told him people around here just called her Sue. She and her mother had been living hand to mouth since her father disappeared years ago. They had no one else. That night, driving the rest of the way home, Mike couldn't stop thinking about her. His younger sisters teased him the moment he walked in. "Ooh, big brother's got that look. Did you meet a girl?" "Shut up, both of you," he laughed, but the smile lingered. From then on, Mike made it a habit to stop by the shack every evening after work. He brought extra blankets, canned soup, medicine for the old woman. Sue opened up to him about her fears, her dreams of one day leaving this dying town. He listened. For the first time in years, someone listened to him, too. One weekend, he brought Sue home for dinner. His mother, Kaushalya, everyone called her Kathy, welcomed her warmly. His father, Manoj, Manny, even cracked jokes. His sisters, Renu and Emily, adored her instantly. Life felt lighter. Valentine's Day was approaching. Sue had never celebrated it before. Mike explained with a shy grin, "It's the day you tell someone you love how you really feel." Sue's cheeks turned pink. She spent the whole week gathering courage. On February 14th, she waited by the road with a single red rose hidden behind her back. 5:30 came and went, then 6, then 7. Mike never showed. Worried, she walked to his house, heart pounding. Kathy opened the door with a bright smile. "Sue, honey, come in, come in. You're just in time for dinner." Inside, the family was seated around the table, and right beside Mike sat a pretty girl with perfect makeup and a confident smile. Mike looked up, surprised but not guilty. "Oh, hey Sue, this is Pooja. Well, everyone calls her Paige. I proposed to her today. She said yes." The rose slipped from Sue's hands and fell to the floor. Mike continued gently, "You're an amazing girl, Sue, but I only ever saw you as a friend. I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong idea." Sue's face twisted with pain, then rage. "A friend? After everything? I would have done anything for you, Mike. Anything." She turned and ran into the cold night, tears freezing on her cheeks. A few weeks passed. Sue never came back to the shack. Mike and Paige grew closer, talking about moving to the city after marriage, leaving the small-town life behind. One evening, while Mike and Paige sat on a bench in the town park making future plans, Manny was out in the back fields checking irrigation. Something soft landed near his boot. A red rose. Beside it, a lemon and a small box of vermilion powder. What the hell? Then he heard it. Wet, labored breathing coming from under the soil. The ground trembled. A rotting hand burst upward and clamped around his ankle. Manny screamed, kicking wildly. He almost broke free when an old scarecrow from the edge of the field toppled over him, its weight suddenly crushing. More hands erupted from the dirt, grabbing his face, his arms. In seconds, the earth swallowed him whole. The field went silent again. Back at the house, the family sat down for dinner. Renu had proudly made Mike's favorite, fresh fried fish from the river. The moment he lifted the lid, the smell hit them. The fish was crawling with thousands of writhing maggots. 2 fat cockroaches scurried across the plate. Bees suddenly swarmed in through the window, buzzing angrily around their heads before vanishing into the night. Kathy turned pale. "I bought it fresh this morning, I swear." They decided to go look for Manny. Leaving the girls at home, Mike and his mother drove out to the fields. They found only one thing, a single human hand sticking out of the freshly turned soil. When they dug, they uncovered Manny's body, eyes wide open in eternal terror, mouth filled with dirt. The funeral was the next day. The whole town whispered about curses and bad omens. No one wanted to come near the family anymore. Strange things kept happening. Emily kept finding the same bizarre bundle of rose, lemon, and vermilion on her windowsill every few nights. One night, just after 11 p.m., she opened the latest one, annoyed, thinking it was still Jake's dumb prank. Then she felt something wet crawl across her foot. She woke to the monstrous demon squatting on the floor right beside her bed. She screamed and ran for the door, but when she flung it open, her bedroom led straight into a dark, endless forest. Trees stretched forever. Her house was gone. The demon followed, heavy footsteps thudding behind her. She ran blindly until she saw her own house again in the distance. She sprinted inside, calling for her family. No one answered. When she burst into her mother's room, the demon was already there, waiting. Green smoke poured from its mouth, wrapping around her. The rest of the family heard nothing. No screams, no footsteps. When Emily's eyes opened again, her face was blank, empty. She walked to the window, climbed out, and jumped. Renu and Mike found her the next morning sitting in the mud behind the house, holding two giant hissing cockroaches in her palms, smiling a smile that wasn't hers. She passed out in Mike's arms. That was the final straw. Mike went to the town elder, an old man everyone respectedly called the Mukhia, though he preferred Mr. Patel. He brought a tantric practitioner, a wandering holy man known for dealing with things normal priests wouldn't touch. The tantric examined Emily in her room. The moment his hand touched her forehead, he recoiled. "Iblis," he whispered. "The demon is Iblis, one of the oldest and strongest, not a petty ghost, something far worse." Mike's voice shook. "Why us? Why our family?" It wasn't random. Someone sent it. Someone made black magic, specifically Gudiya Kriya, the doll ritual. A doll was made in your family's name and buried under a peepal tree. As long as that doll exists, Iblis will keep coming. Paige, who had been sitting quietly, suddenly spoke. "Sue! It has to be Sue! She said she would do anything to have you." Mike's blood ran cold. The tantric nodded grimly. "We must find the doll and burn it in the house. Only then will Iblis leave. But whoever made the deal with the demon, their soul will be collected as payment." They searched every peepal tree in the area. Finally, behind Mr. Patel's old property, they found fresh soil under the largest tree. Mike dug frantically. He pulled out a crudely made doll, half of it missing. The tantric's eyes narrowed. Clever. She split it so even if one half was found, the ritual couldn't be completed easily.